lifestyle won't stop hustling. But I just
Atlanta, season 3, episode 9, titled Rich Wigger, Paul Wigger. Let's get into it. We got to talk about the top WTF moments of this episode. Might do this episode a little different. Might do a rundown style. But we have to give moment of silence as well as praise for Kevin Samuels, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, can we get a round of applause for Kevin Samuels? Yes. This might be the last thing he played. I don't know what else he had slated to appear in. This might be one of his last appearances as far as just being on the small screen. I think he did an amazing job. When I saw the trailer last week or sometime this week, I was like, oh, shit, Kevin Samuels going to be in it. And I thought it was bittersweet seeing him in this episode. And, I thought he did an amazing job. And, the Godfather will be missed. It's crazy, man. He was well on his way, dude. He was on his way. That sucks, man. That still hits us hard. Everybody in this Manosphere community, man. So kudos to Kevin Samuels. Now the title, Rich Wigger, Poor Wigger. If you don't know, 50 Cent got a song called that, but he's saying the other word. He's not saying the Wigger word. So top WTF moments of this episode. I love this episode. To me, this was my favorite episode of the season. I'm sorry. By far, this was my favorite episode of the season. Before we get started, let me give a shout out to my sponsors, IamTrill.com, which is Future Trillionaire Clothing. You can go to IamTrill.com, go over to the website, enter the promo code ABSTRACT when you check out, and you can get you a little something off your order. But listen, don't tell them I sent you, all right? So with that being said, let's get into this. I love the contrast of this episode, how they had it in black and white, which kind of was like, it represented our character who was like a shade of gray himself. He didn't want to embrace his black side. He wanted to embrace his white side, and he only wanted to embrace his black side when it was convenient for him, which is interesting. I had a long conversation with a good friend of mine, Iltone, today about this particular subject. Me knowing somebody who has a stepkid who is biracial, and the stepkid is young and impressionable right now, but for some reason the stepkid, even though the father is black, he wants to dress as black. He thinks he's white. Like, he thinks he's more white when he don't even like look white though. He don't look like this kid look. This kid could pass for white if you really didn't know any better. The stepkid looks more so black, but he thinks I don't know. He just, in his mind, at first he wasn't even claiming it. I mean, now he claims biracial, but he's like 8 years old. And I was just like, you just got to make sure he understands when he goes out into the world, he going to be looking at as a black man. Point blank, period. No matter how much he tries to say, hey, man, I'm white or what. No, they're going to see a black man. It's not like our main character. So let's get into it. Top WTF episode. The 9th episode of Atlanta season 3 once again steers away from the story of our main characters that we saw and focuses on another standalone tale of cultural significance. The episode titled Rich Wigger, Poor Wigger follows a high school student named Aaron who is struggling to pay his college fees. However, an unexpected opportunity could be the answer to his final struggles. Naturally, viewers must be wondering why he was like this. So the first WTF is him playing that video game, and he was losing, and then all of a sudden we see that he actually has some resentment towards his black side when he decides to say, "Ooh, monkey, monkey," or whatever he said, and I'm like, okay, that was kind of weird. Now, this is prior to me from the audience knowing that he was even partially black. We don't learn that until he's in the car with his father getting driven to school, which brings us to our next WTF. When the father not only is telling him that he should embrace his black side, we also hear on the radio that a black kid just got killed for reaching for a cell phone at the Lenox Mall, which is in Atlanta. So we know this takes place in Atlanta. This particular episode in the suburbs, I think he said they were in Lithonia, which according to Amaretta is not Atlanta. I've been listening. So he's on the outskirts of Atlanta, and he is in the car, and he's saying, "Listen, the reason that kid got shot is probably because he didn't comply. You know, they tell you to put your hands up. That's what you need to do." So right then, I'm like, okay, he has some kind of mental disconnect, and he doesn't want anything to do with his black side. And I was like, okay, maybe it's the way his father's harping on him. I kind of did feel bad for him a slight bit, because his dad was like, "Listen, I'm not paying for no financial aid. You're not getting it. It's not happening. You're not going to college." So the fact that he don't even have, I'm not gonna say faith, but doesn't even want to invest in a future for his son, I think it's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because he like, yo, you gonna go to that college for 1 year and then you're gonna be quit or whatever he said. I was just like, wow, he's kind of harping on him kind of bad. And we see that next WTF, we see that his friends are predominantly white, which I think we all kind of gather from seeing his room. And then not only are they white, they're kind of racist, especially his girlfriend Katie. But she's harping on him about applying for the school that they want to go to, and he's like, "I'm gonna handle it," but I think she knows deep down inside it's not happening. So we'll see what happens later on. We know what happened though. All right, so the next WTF, we see Kevin Samuels actually in the auditorium. And he's giving away free scholarships. But the stipulation is you have to be black. When he did that, I was laughing uncontrollably. I thought that was the most funniest thing. I don't know why, dude. I just didn't see that happening. I was just like, I don't know if they put that in the trailer. I did not see that happening. But I was just like, yo, this is fucking hilarious, man, nonetheless. Yeah, that shit was funny as hell. Not only that, he changes the name of the school, and then he comes out with George Wallace. If you don't know, George Wallace is a veteran comedian. He and J. Anthony Brown had classic exchanges between each other's mamas. Mind you, both their mamas are dead. But if you ever get a chance, Google George Wallace or YouTube George Wallace versus J. Anthony Brown, your mama jokes, and they got some classic banter back and forth. He's a legend. And again, he been in a couple of movies, if you don't know him. But anyway, now they have these kids doing auditions. Next WTF, we see that Aaron actually goes inside the auditorium to audition, and he has to kind of show how much of a, I guess, culture, how cultured he is, knowing just black culture. So they're quizzing him and they're asking him certain things about this and this and that and that and this, and he's not answering none of them. And some of the questions and things they want him to do are absurd. And then George Wallace interrupting Kevin Samuels and just telling him he not black. He not, look at him, I could tell he not black. They like, yo, go take a pencil and go make a beat on that desk. They got him dancing in there. They asking him, what can you mix with Henny? This dude's saying mango and rum and all kinds of stuff. Like, even rum, I gotta try that. I'm like, this is nuts. This was the best episode, man. This shit was funny. You know what? This was the best episode, I think, for just black folk. Because this was like, yo, we got to win on this one, man. I was like, yeah. But anyway, he doesn't get the scholarship, so he goes home. And then his father tells him, listen, man, you have to, if you're black, you got to be used to failing. And, I think he takes that to heart. On top of that, his girlfriend decides to break up with him because he sees that a black guy is commenting on her post and she responded to it. And he's like, he gets jealous and she calls him and she like, listen, I know you're not getting into this college. You don't have any money. It's over. All right. So next WTF, we see this motherfucker builds a flamethrower. He's on the line playing the game. Then he gets the bright idea in his head to build a flamethrower and he wants to go flame the school. And he does just that. So he's walking around down in Lithonia or wherever this is, and he's just walking with a flamethrower. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna stop him or pull him over. Nope, they didn't. Next WTF. As he arrives to the school, he is accosted by another gentleman who has a flamethrower. Why do they have flamethrowers? I guess that's the best thing they could think of to burn shit. What happened to Molotov cocktails in my day? We had I'm just kidding. I never had a Molotov cocktail. Only in Grand Theft Auto. But anyway, they're at the school, and this kid is like, listen, I'm burning this motherfucker down. He's like, no, I'm burning it. And he's like, well, why? He said you weren't black enough. He's like, yeah, my family's from Nigeria, but I was born there. I moved here when I was small, so I guess it was just the fact he wasn't actually born there. He didn't consider him black, and he didn't really sound black per se. You know how people saying he sounded proper. I hate when people say that, but I'm just giving y'all an example. So our character Aaron not only says that, he actually tells him he makes some kind of racial joke towards him. He says something about him being dark skinned, and he's like, "Oh, is that funny?" Next thing you know, these two are trying to flame each other. The kid winds up torching the sign, but then he starts chasing Aaron. They're going back and forth. He winds up getting a drop on Aaron. He got gasoline, or I think he was pouring like the kerosene on him from the propane tank. He was pouring something on him. I don't know where he got it from because he didn't have no tank. He just had the regular flamethrower. But they're running. He's about to get a drop on him, and next thing you know, the next WTF, the black kid gets shot. And I thought he got shot in the head. It looked like he got popped right in his head. I guess now he got shot in his shoulder. Kevin Samuels winds up coming over to the school. He winds up giving the kid the check anyway because he's saying being shot is one of the blackest things that could ever happen to you. And then he agrees to pay for his medical bills. And on top of that, our character Aaron sees this and once again feels left out because he's not black enough. So it's one of those things where I'm not going to say this because that wasn't the case, but it's been cases I've seen where mixed kids are not white enough and then they're not black enough. So they're somewhere in the middle. They kind of got to find their way. But this was the thing. He just wasn't black enough, and he just resented it because, they were getting advantages, and he just felt maybe he should have got some. But you can't do that when it's convenient for you. All right, next WTF. We see 1 year later, our character's working at a radio electronics store, like a Best Buy type of deal. And he's he's converted to full black. He's like doing his brushing. I don't know. He didn't have any waves, but he's brushing his hair, and he's acting like Chet Hanks. He's doing his best Chet Hanks impersonation. He's bagging a little shorty. Next thing you know, we see Katie come, and she hops on the D. I'm like, okay, this is nice. But no, she was just kind of looking at him, weirded out. She was about to walk away, and then he pulls her back, and he's like, you the prettiest I've ever seen you right now. And he looks at the camera, and it comes to find out all along, she does like black guys because as we've seen. So that's probably why she was talking about him so much, to kind of look cool for her. But at the end of the day, we all know what these white girls want. They want the meat. So in the aftermath of the feud, this episode to me, the ending just reiterates the long-running theme of the series that being black is just not about your skin color. It's about accepting of your cultural heritage. Because Aaron initially neglects the black culture, which is reflected in his room. Moreover, he does not have any black friends, and he enjoys white privilege. Aaron only acknowledges the African-American aspects of his heritage when he has something to gain from it. The episode's black and white aesthetic also represents the duality. It also represents Aaron's tussle with his racial background. In the end, Aaron embraces the black culture and evolves into a more confident version of himself, which we like to see. To me, this was the best episode of the season by far. I loved it from start to finish. It didn't drag. It wasn't some moments. I didn't have to think too hard. I just like this episode. That's just me. And then it had the OG Kevin Samuels in there. And it wasn't just like a brief cameo. He was actually in there. So that was them actually embracing, new age culture, what's going on, showing you they aware who's popping and who's doing what. I like this, man. This is what Atlanta's known for, man. This episode to me could win an award. Post your comments below. Let me know what you guys thought about this. Make sure you like, subscribe if you like my review, which I hope you did. Click the notification bell. And if you didn't, you just have bad taste, and you probably your breath probably stink. Anyway, peace.